Well, you've just written a very interesting book about trauma, and I've read it.
Thank you for
I
that.
think I said to you, it's one of the best books on trauma that I've read for a long time because it's clear and explicit, and you take us through the stages one by one. And it's a book that I would strongly recommend. Just could you just give us a very quick, before we finish, a very quick summary of that book
Okay.
and why you wrote it?
Okay. Why I wrote it was because I was fascinated by the way that the tentacles of trauma go, but also that I found, working with so many traumatized others, that what we most need is understanding and somebody to get us. And so I have this kind of passion to say, okay, let's try and understand trauma. Not everybody can have therapy, but maybe we can break the thing down and make it bite-sized chunks and make it really understandable. So that's what I have done. And these are some of the things, some of the 20 that I've unpacked. So trauma can make us constrict because of that whoosh that I spoke about. And we might feel numb with bad treatment. We might feel worthless and full of shame, that the whole thing that we feel is our own fault. Again, if we understand that that's a trauma symptom, that can be so relieving. Trauma can make us, take us over, like a white water raft, where we are so aroused and on a momentum and we can't get off whatever we're doing. We're on a kind of on a roll. It can scramble our sense of time so that then becomes now, and we don't trust the flow of life. It can lead us to react in a repeated way, which we call triggering. So we're on a kind of repetitive dance, which can be so difficult, and sometimes that can spin out of control. It can return. It can turbocharge us with rage and suspicion of other people so that we can't control our red mist. It can lead us to run for the hills and to avoid our pain and cover it up, ducking and diving. We can become frozen and unable to respond to the world and know what to do. Our bodies and minds might flop under the radar. Our bodies are very important. They carry the weight so often of trauma. We can feel disconnected, which I've already mentioned, seeing the world as through a plate of glass. We might feel fragmented in kind of pieces in our minds. So some bits of us take over and other bits get erased altogether. We might become rigid and very certain of something and hold on to that certainty like a limpet onto a rock. We might be able to think properly and logically follow things through. Our brains might feel like they're hijacked. We may not be able to trust others, maybe for a very long time, like as you said, Terry. Even though we might want to trust them, we might push them away and get locked into destructive cycles and not be able to stop. We might have a kind of howl of pain inside that's covered up deep down on a layer, deep down, but comes out at certain times. We might feel brokenhearted. And we might pick up, and this is something that I've definitely experienced as I've worked with trauma and also studied it in such detail. We pick up trauma from other people. It's a kind of catchy situation. So that's why it's very important to study it and to know about it. I have somebody who I work with and who doesn't mind me saying that she says that people who are traumatized in the ways that I've described need to wear an arm wrist, like you wear an arm wrist for a cause. She says people who are traumatized should have an arm wrist because it shows this inner charge or this inner wound. And it may help us to treat each other with compassionate kindness